Welcome to Multifamily X podcast series, Masters of Multifamily Maintenance Conversations, ready to engage in essential dialogues exploring the multifamily universe alongside top industry leaders. Join us as we explore fundamental conversations for the multifamily space. Let's dive in.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Multifamily X podcast, Masters of Maintenance. I'm your host, Adrian Daniela. First, I want to start by thanking our sponsor, Appwork, for making this broadcast possible today. With this being said, I'm going to turn it over to my co-host today, co-host extraordinaire, Luisa Luperdi. Take it away, Luisa.
Hello, everyone. So excited to be here today on another episode of Masters of Maintenance. And I'm very happy to introduce our guest of the day, Jed McDaniel, who's going to share a lot of insight. Very excited for this conversation. Welcome, Jed.
Thank you so much. I am truly honored to be here. Literally my first podcast ever. To do it on this realm and to be with you for this, it's truly a career bucket list check mark. Thank you both. Thank you.
Excited that we're your first experience. So This is an exclusive, everyone. Okay, so why don't we start, Jed, with just a basic question that we love to start off so we can get kind of a background. Can you tell us your journey in the commercial and multifamily real estate industry over these past 25 years?
Probably like a lot of us, I got into this industry by accident. After I graduated high school, I was looking into being a teacher. I had heard that, hey, if you lived and worked at an apartment complex and did grounds or maintenance or something like that, then you could get a rent discount. That was my first thought is, hey, I can move out from my parents' house and figure out my next steps for becoming a teacher and get a rent discount and be able to figure it out from there. 25 years later, here I am. I actually applied to be a groundskeeper, similar to Adrian at the beginning of his career. And I did my interview with the maintenance supervisor, and I remember at the end of the interview, they actually said, well, we have a maintenance technician position available, and we would like to offer you that position instead of the groundskeeper position. And I remember thinking, okay, that's great, but I know nothing about maintenance. I did not know anything, honestly, about maintenance at that point. They said, well, we think that you have the other qualities that we're looking for, and we can teach you the maintenance part. That's easy. And I did not understand that at all at the time. I didn't know what he was talking about. I didn't understand how I could be fit for a role in maintenance when I didn't know anything about maintenance. It didn't take me long to figure it out. I got thrown into the deep end of this like a lot of us do. I started on site. I hired on as a maintenance tech and was, immediately turned into a plumber and a painter and an electrician and a counselor for the residents and a babysitter and every other of the 25 hats that our maintenance teams wear every day. Over time, I loved it. I got into it. I liked that it was something new every single day. There was a new challenge. There was something new to learn. It was never boring. I tried to find every avenue that I could to learn the new thing, to be trained on the new thing, to work my way up. I don't think in my 25 years have I ever said the words, that's not my job. It's one of the key phrases that I hate, honestly, especially in this industry. It's ever changing. And I've just worked my way up. I eventually made it to a maintenance supervisor and ran my own properties for many years. And then got the opportunity from Allied Residential to hire on as a project manager for them and take that next step finally. And then took it upon myself to be approved with OSHA and became an electrical administrator so that I could run our safety program and electrical program, and got the opportunity then to move up to director of maintenance and try to teach in a different way. So I got to live my dream, if you will, outside of high school in a completely different industry than I thought it would be in, but I still get to teach in a way, and I love that. 25 years later, here I am.
I want to stay a little bit on the professional career path. Let us in on your current position and on your current company.
Well, first off, I'm director of maintenance and director of safety for Allied Residential. We are located in Washington State, only Washington State, on purpose. We know this market. We're good at it. So we stay here. Right now, we are at 158 different properties that we manage. We are a third-party fee management company solely. So we do not have ownership in any of our properties. We are pushing 14,000 total units right now. And we have more coming on board this month, next month, and this summer, which will pass us over 14,000 units. We have an amazing team. I not necessarily directly every day oversee our site teams, but with 158 properties, I try to help in any way that I can, whether it's through trainings, whether it's through going on to the site and helping them directly, giving them what they need. I like to say, what can I do to make your job easier, safer, and more fun? That is my goal for our teams. I feel like there was so many years in this industry that I was by myself on a property. I didn't have anybody that was there to support me. It was on me to figure this out and to repair these things and to have all the skills that I needed and figure out how to get those skills if I didn't have them. My true goal is to be for my teams now what was missing for me when I was on site. That's my entire goal of this. So again, that's why, Adrian, I love your aspect of this and your communication for bringing us all together through this. It really is needed. But I love what I do. That's the biggest thing that I can say. I love my role. I've never been happier in the role that I'm at. And I'm hoping to just continue to learn and bend and flex with this industry as needed and see how we can improve this and I want to bring our maintenance teams to the forefront of property management, not in the back seat. They are the front runners of our properties.
I couldn't see it better.
Throughout your 25 years, what are some key changes you've observed in service operations with multifamily industry in 2023 compared to previous years?
I don't know what hasn't changed in 25 years. There's not much that stays the same in this industry, honestly. I have to say the biggest change, and not just from last year to previous years, but just the biggest change overall has to be the amount of skilled maintenance workers that we have coming into our industry right now. I remember 25 years ago when I was first on site and we would have a maintenance person that would get fired or quit. It wouldn't take hardly 2 days, I would say, and we would have another person there that was skilled, ready to hit the ground running, go to town, and it never skipped a beat. And it was really difficult to find office workers, to find someone that knew how to keyboard or knew different, computer programs or accounting programs, let's say like Yardi and things like that. That was the difficulty then. The teeter-totter has completely shifted to where now everybody knows computers and knows computer programs and can keyboard, and we're struggling to find good qualified maintenance workers. That's something that I see as a continuing trend as far as difficulties, but I also see it as awesome opportunities for people right now that want to get into this industry. It kind of turns both ways. That has to be the biggest thing. I think companies right now need to know that they have to plan for this. They have to have a path that truly shows their maintenance teams that this is a career, not just a job. They have to have all of the aspects of showing that now in order for those maintenance people to stay and want to stay and not just, job hop because someone next door has 50 cents more an hour. There has to be a bigger incentive for companies to keep their maintenance teams right there. And that's one of the things that is making Allied Residential step out as a leader in our area, in our industry right now, is because we understand that. I have a motto that I'd like to share that I like to use, and I call it our ace in the hole for maintenance success. And the ace is appreciate, compensate, and educate. If you have all three of those aspects for your maintenance teams, you will be successful in this industry. You have to show your maintenance teams that they are appreciated. We need to compensate them properly. That's something that's been an issue for a very long time. And have a path for their education and show them that this is a career. Do you have that path to say, what steps do I need to take to go from a groundskeeper to a maintenance tech? Or a maintenance tech to a maintenance supervisor to project manager? Are you just floating around and kind of hoping that that falls into place at some point? Or is there an actual path? 25 years ago, property management companies might have still been able to be successful with 2 out of those 3. Maybe you appreciated your people and maybe you compensated them, but you didn't have an education plan, or maybe, whatever the 2 might have been, and it was still fine and still acceptable. But now I think this industry has changed to where all 3 are required to truly be a successful property management company and be successful in maintenance and keep your maintenance teams there. That's kind of, I think, one of the biggest things that I have stuck with and believe in for our industry.
What are some things that your company specifically does to attract great talent and also to retain it? Because I think a lot of times we're just talking about there's a shortage, we can't get enough new blood in. And while we're doing that, we're just focusing on how to get people in. And we tend to get sidetracked and not appreciate the ones that are already there.
I'd have to say, I think it starts with the hiring process in itself. That's where potential employees are making their first impression of this company, and or whatever company it is. So, if you're going to start out, and you need to have a true hiring process, not just throw it out there, on Indeed or however you're going to do these advertisements for things. Do you have a process? Is that candidate that applies going to sit there for weeks before they hear anything back from anybody or anything like that? Are you truly getting right back with them, following up with them, doing immediate interviews and follow-up interviews, and starting the job process as soon as possible? I think that immediately shows the candidate that, they're hiring on to a company that is established and that has this path. That makes them feel more comfortable to want to stay. One of the biggest things I think for Allied, we have a few different things, honestly, but once they are onboarded, again, it goes back to my ACE, I would say, to appreciate, compensate, and educate to keep them there. One of the things that we established first off was a mentor-mentee program. People that are hiring on or applying to Allied Residential right now, they don't necessarily need to have any maintenance experience. What we developed is what we call a maintenance response team. So right now we have 14 employees that any of our 158 properties can contact and schedule for any of their additional maintenance needs. So they can travel, basically, if you will. I don't like to call them floaters because floaters makes it sound like they don't have a home. And they have a home. They're important. They're an awesome team. It really works as far as, whether it's a maintenance person that's on vacation, that is out sick, that we're filling a role while we're hiring a new maintenance person, or maybe you're a one-person show on your property and you just want a week's break from that emergency phone or something like that. That's what our maintenance response team does for them, to give them that deep breath to take that we all need in maintenance. What we do is when we bring in a mentor and hire them on, and if they don't have the maintenance skills, let's say, we have them shadow one of our maintenance response team workers and go with them and learn for maybe 30 to 60 to 90 days, depending on their skill level. Learn our policies, learn our procedures, learn our safety trainings, learn everything that is the basics to maintenance to get started, including outside of maintenance, which means, things like customer service skills, listening skills. It's not just maintenance that we need. It needs to be an all-encompassing training for that position. So that's one thing that I think that's really helping us succeed right now with Allied, is having that mentor-mentee program for people to know they don't necessarily have to have these, college degrees or 10 years in maintenance experience. We have a path to get them going. I like to say, too, we have a path for both the people that like to ride the merry-go-round and the people that like to ride the roller coaster. Because you know how it is, right? I mean, we have some people that would just like to stay on one property and they'll be there for 20 years and they'll run it perfect and they're awesome at it. And that's exactly what they want. Great. We're ready to support that. On the other side of that is some people want to try every position that is out there just to get their feet wet and see what they're good at, see what they like and don't like about it before they're going to settle into something. Well, we have a path for that also. So I think that's a big door opening, if you will, for everyone coming into Allied or applying to Allied or hopefully just getting into this industry period. That's how it should be. And that's how it needs to be, I think, to be successful moving forward with on-site maintenance teams. And it starts with that. But again, trainings are never ending, as we all know. We don't necessarily have a training platform like a podcast or a YouTube or, any of our suppliers that provide amazing trainings for us. One of the things that I like to do, I don't know if you've heard of, Theodore Roosevelt used to do TED Talks. I do Jed Talks. There is something that is new or that comes up or the new trend or a new technology or just something that maybe is just happening that everyone should know about. Then I'll just create a Jed Talk and send it out to everybody to say, hey, be aware of this, check out this. And over the last 7 years, it's been really successful. So I'm sticking with it.
You made me super curious about two things, the maintenance response team, and then how can we get to the Jed Talks? Super curious about that too. How can we access them? If we can, it's not just an internal thing.
It's an internal thing right now. Doesn't mean it needs to stay an internal thing, but yeah, they're basically focused around Allied Residential and what our Allied Residential teams need for that time. Our maintenance response team actually started out as just, I believe it was 2 people that just roamed for one of our portfolio managers that oversees a group of properties. It became so successful that our ownership basically said, this shouldn't be one portfolio manager wide. This should be company wide because we can utilize this. And over the 7 years that I've been with Allied, we've gone from those 2 people to 14 people and truly established a real division, if you will, with Allied, a division of our maintenance response team. So again, what they do is we have a true schedule. Any property can go on and click the schedule and just say what they need. Maybe they need, some support with turns. Maybe they have a bunch of appliances being delivered. They all have to go to the 3rd floor. Maybe they need some pressure washing, whatever that might be. They go on the schedule and then we assign the schedule based on not only where the maintenance technician lives so that they can try to be as close to home, but also what they like to do. We have employees that, love to paint and hate to pressure wash. And then another person that, loves to pressure wash, hates to paint, whatever it is. Put them in those circumstances that they want to be in, right? Like whenever possible, they're going to do a better job. They're going to be better all around on that property for ownerships, for the residents, for the staff. So that's what we try to set up. They just go out, they do their thing as needed. Every other Friday, we get together for a meeting. And not only to go over time cards and things like that, but to put our heads together for what we've seen, what's out there in the different properties, right? If you're just on one site or maybe 2 or 3 sites, the problems and the goods and the bads, if you will, of what's happening on your areas, but what's happening as a company, what's happening as an industry, what's happening, the big picture. So that's what I think is really important that we all understand. And so we can come together and say, hey, this property has this, or did you know about this? Or they need a safety training on this, or their shop was so unorganized. It took me 15 minutes to find a flapper. Whatever it is, you start that communication and break it out to solve those problems that we come across. It's really amazing. It's been, again, really successful. The Jed Talks, they've honestly been great too. But what I like to say to our teams is that I want to make your jobs easier, safer, and more fun. So I like when they come to me and say, hey, I went onto our learning management system, which we use Edge to Learn currently, but I noticed there wasn't a training on this. And that's when I will step up and just say, like some of the ones that I've done, carbon monoxide awareness and safety training. Golf cart safety is a big one. All the way down to how to repair this GE dryer element. And I will just have someone video me while I am taking apart this dryer and going through it piece by piece saying, hi, here's the dryer element, here is the heating element, whatever it's going to be, and walk through that process of doing it. Shop organization, I will usually go to a property and give examples. Hey, here's a wonderful shop. Look, all these bins are here. They have labels. It's organized. It's safe. There's walking paths. We're all over the board as far as what a maintenance shop can look like. We have some properties where they have 7 different tiny closets all over the property that they have to keep their stuff in. And then you have some where they actually have a true dedicated maintenance shop. But no matter what the extreme of what your shop is, there's still some basics that need to be there as far as organization and labeling, not just to keep our team safe, but for time management. Nowadays, right, it shouldn't take 15 minutes to find a flapper in a shop. And that's an issue. One of the things I hear from our teams all the time is that it seems like maintenance doesn't have any time to do maintenance anymore. There's so many, especially in Washington, I will say state, there is so many regulations and steps and logs and things you're going to need to fill out along the way to make sure all these steps are checked, that it pulls away from just being able to focus for half a day or a day on actually doing maintenance. And that's where I think technology is going to come into play also. I really hope that technology can help our site teams out with that, bring in new ideas for how to get back to actually being able to do maintenance and save us time on things like budgets, organization, everything like that. But yeah, for now, the Jed Talks are internal. They don't always necessarily have to be. And again, they're more geared toward allied, but hey, I'm open to a more bigger umbrella Jed Talk of our industry, or whatever that means.
You made me super curious. I'd love to see some of them.
Thank you. And I feel like a lot of it, though, is industry-wide. I know we all have a lot of the same issues that we're dealing with nationwide. Every state is a little different. Every area of each state is a little different. But our base issues, I think, are the same. I'm sure there's a lot of good information that could be used outside of allied. But it doesn't just have to be a Jed Talk either. I think it's keeping it simple. I think it's having fun with it, making it relatable for the people that are watching it to kind of understand. And again, just anything that's going to make it easier for those site teams is important now more than ever, I think.
And now a word from Sean Landsberg, co-founder and CEO, Appwork.
What you can measure, you can improve. You did mention an average completion time or tracking completion time for maintenance technicians. What other very important KPIs is Appwork capable of tracking?
All the data can also be broken down. All those KPIs can be broken down, like we said, on a property level, technician level, or back up to a portfolio level. But even within a technician, you could break that down based off of the categories. You can see, how is this technician doing with HVAC work orders, with plumbing work orders. We also took the concept of KPIs. A lot of companies use a KPI to say, how is somebody doing? And let's look at his KPIs. But another thing that we actually did is we took that a step further, where we actually translated those KPIs into sentence-based comment. The system would actually automatically spit out, an actual actionable sentence, whether it's positive or negative, based on the technician's performance.
I love everything that you just shared. It's so much context, and it seems like you keep saying it's something that works. It's been successful. And you did mention it all starts with hiring. I just want to fast forward a little bit because you also emphasize a lot on the technical training aspect of the roles in maintenance and operations. And I think something very unique about you, Jed, that I was kind of more intrigued about is your specialty in OSHA, your focus and experience, not only as a maintenance professional, but as an OSHA trainer, OSHA specialist. Having a background in training, it was also very challenging for me from maybe an admin side to kind of correlate maintenance safety training with the operations team, my maintenance teams, to try to incentivize the learning aspect of OSHA. So I'd like to know, what are some effective strategies for conducting OSHA training programs that are not just engaging, but how do you capture the interest? Because this answer I needed years ago when I was a trainer, and I want to know today, because I know that you have the answer.
I don't know if it is the answer. I would say, I think the first step, of course, is keeping it simple and keeping it fun. That's going to be the thing that's going to grab your biggest audience right there. Get it down to the true point of this and let's have some fun with it. Just because it's a training doesn't mean it has to be boring. Doesn't mean it has to be just sitting behind a desk and, listening to this particular person say this. Find the person in your company or people in your company that enjoy speaking like this, that are engaging, that people in your company respond to, and they want to listen to those people. That I think is the icebreaker of it all. I know, at least for me, when I'm like, oh man, I got to sit through this, 4-hour fair housing thing today or whatever it is, you kind of do the, all right, well, we'll do it and get through it. I don't want it to be that way. I want it to be like, yeah, we're going to do this OSHA training on whatever the top PPE today or something. Whatever it might be, make it fun. I would say make it interactive. As far as maintenance teams go, usually they don't want to sit behind a desk. That's why we're maintenance, right? We're out doing things. We want to move. I think the more avenues that you can bring together, whether it's going to be a PowerPoint presentation and then some hands-on presentation of, like let's say for personal protective equipment, maybe you have examples of all that there to go through. I guess what I'm saying is find different avenues that are going to make it, maintenance isn't a one size fits all with training, right? Not everybody is always going to learn from the same type of training. So find different avenues to get the same point across. And that usually works well. I think, some people are going to grab onto that book learning. Some people are going to grab onto the interactive, hey, I want to touch and feel this or actually fix this myself to learn how to do it. If you can come at it from different angles, I feel like you're going to get the most comprehension and the most interaction with that.
I have a follow-up question to that because, like I said, again, I used to have this kind of like obstacle in trying to engage, right, with as a trainer, mainly from an admin side, training towards the operations team. But then I found one of my approaches was to kind of share the data and statistics behind the efficiency and the effectiveness of a successful OSHA training program in regards to safety training and the outcomes of the trainings in actual decrease of incidents on site. Have you been able to track that correlation? Maybe when you started your OSHA program, your OSHA training program, did you see a reduction of those on-site incidences, etc.? Because I know that is where I was going to be able to get a little bit more funding and support from leadership to be able to host and have offer a more robust OSHA training program. I'd be curious to know.
Yes, and yes. I would say one of the things that we have established also, so all of my safety trainings are based off of Allied Residential's accident prevention plan that we have. Every month, I put out a new safety training on a different topic. And some of them repeat because they need to just be updated. And some of them are just completely new, depending on that. What we do and how we correlate that is I bring those trainings and we review our incident reports during our safety committee that we've established. So a lot of companies or a lot of properties will have their sites that will meet to have a safety meeting, whether it's weekly or monthly or maybe it's daily, just to go over what's happening with them. We take it one step further. We have the site safety meetings, but on top of that, we established a safety committee that is open to all Allied Residential employees to come in and learn, again, what's going on as a company and what's going on in our industry why, as far as safety goes and injuries and anything like that. So every month over the last 5 years that we have done the safety committee, every month the participation increases and increases and increases, and more properties are joining to see what's going on and to see what's just not just what's happening in their property, what's happening outside as a whole. So we review those. I review incident reports with them. Also, I get every single incident report that comes in from Allied for everything from, fires and floods to vandalisms to anything that happens. And I pick and choose through those to find ones that are applicable to bring up to the company and say, hey, you should be aware. This is kind of a trend of what's going on right now and happening for us right now. It not only makes them aware and feel involved, but you also get the feedback from everybody as far as how to solve that problem if it's a problem, right? I don't know everything. I want to listen to them and get their feedback on what they would do. So you can directly correlate all of these safety trainings with turning around at our safety committee and seeing that, hey, we've grown by thousands of units over the last 5 years, but we have less injuries. How is that possible? Well, it goes right back to the safety trainings is why, and it directly shows the correlation of how that is working. And again, being a third party, fee management company, that can go directly to the ownerships that we represent too. We talk about the importance of training and how it's hard to sometimes justify it to ownerships. But if you can put it right in front of their face like that and say, look, this is working. It works for everybody. It's been really successful. That's what I would say. Try to bring that whole piece together, from OSHA to safety to everything together as a whole. And you'll see the links connect in all different aspects.
Jed, you had an exemplary career. Amazing. Many that are site level are looking up to someone like you, to get inspired. They want to become Jed one day. What are some great pieces of advice that you have to share with someone that wants to move up and become a regional maintenance director, a VP of facilities one day?
First off, I'll say from my position, I hope that they have a leader that they're looking up to that wants to share their knowledge. I think that this industry, we're too closed up as far as, I don't want to share this secret, whatever. I have this great thing that's working for me, but if everybody knows about it, then it might not just, be my thing anymore. The world doesn't work that way. The whole point of the world is to live it and learn it and share it. That's how we all have knowledge, is because we've learned it from somewhere else. I think we need to open that door with maintenance and not be so closed-minded and closed-doored towards what we can give our leadership teams, if you will. Always be looking for the new thing. Our teams might check that box to say, yep, I did this report or I did this unit turn to keep my job. What are you doing to look for what's next for your next, job or your next step in your career? Always be looking for those steps. We have a huge opportunity right now in our industry because of the difficulties that we're having with, hiring staff. If you have the drive and the grit, you can come into this industry and move up fast. There's so many opportunities with podcasts and YouTube, like I said, and our supplier vendors, or there's so many avenues now that you can do trainings through that if you have that dedication to do it, you will move up fast. Don't stop at the maintenance trainings though. Again, maintenance is only one aspect of being a truly good maintenance supervisor on a property. We're lacking empathy, I feel like, in general. I think we've all learned how to talk very well, but we're forgetting how to truly listen in some aspects. So I think it's important for people coming into this industry to listen with the intent of understanding, not listen with the intent of responding. Does that make sense? Because it truly makes a difference to understand where our residents are coming from, where our teammates are coming from, where our ownership group is coming from. We need to try to put ourselves into their shoes and understand where they're at to make the best choices and decisions for how to solve whatever that issue is or to help them out. Look at the maintenance trainings, but look beyond that also to that customer service aspect, that true leadership aspect of it all. Remember that it's not just about maintenance. This industry is about people. The main thing, this industry is about people, and it doesn't matter what position you're in, maintenance or not. If you can have that good customer service skill, that good base that you're working with, then it doesn't matter which avenue that you're going for. You'll be successful in this industry with it just because of that base of understanding people. That's always what it comes down to, I think. So that's what I would say. Don't stop at the maintenance skills. Always keep looking for the new thing. Put yourself in other people's shoes in every single situation that you're dealing with. And how would you feel, or how would you respond, or how would you want to be treated if you were in their shoes right now? I think that's something that we're lacking, not just in maintenance industry, maybe as a nation.
And now a word from Dean Fungawing, founder and CEO, Kyros.
I started the company in 2017. We spent 3 years in research and development, talking to multifamily owners, talking to commercial real estate owners, getting feedback on pricing and the technology and how they want it to work, talking to maintenance teams one-on-one. And it wasn't until 2021 that we actually launched product. And from our very first customer to now over 15,000 multifamily apartments, I think we'll be in over 30,000 units after the end of next quarter. It's growing very fast. And all of our customers, about 100 properties that we're in, not a single customer has experienced water damage post installation of our technology. We've seen a quick ROI, and with thousands of sensors, not having any insurance claims post installation is kind of unheard of in this space, right?
You mentioned how you have a setup right now, like a mentorship program for your associates. And now we're talking a little bit about how you were inspired and if you had advice for our listeners who are looking to move up into the role and become a Jed McDaniel and host Jed Talks. I know that I have very fond memories of my early day mentors and my current mentors today. I'd like for you to share if you have any great memories or experience with your previous or current mentor, if you have one. And I'd like you to share to the audience your experience with that and maybe explain why it is important, because I think we've all been in that situation where we need some guidance. Like you said, we need to listen and learn and develop ourselves. And it's very important to have someone to not just look up to, but maybe respect their opinion, their insight, their advice for our own career development.
This is a great question. This is an amazing brown-nosing opportunity for me right now. However, I'm not saying it because of that. My mentor is actually the president of our company right now, president of Allied Residential, which is Mike Simons. I have worked on and off with him for 20 of my 25 years in this industry. I think we all want to be inspired. If you want to come to work, if you want to be able to accomplish what you're going to be accomplishing, it's important. I guess I look up to him. I'm inspired by him because not only is he extremely book smart as far as his education goes, he's extremely street smart as far as this industry. He's very controlled in his emotions. That's something that I am envious of. I wish that I could be more, constantly in control of my emotions. It doesn't matter what happens. He is very calm. He is very, okay, let's think big picture on this, and then I'll respond appropriately. I love that. I can't always be that way. He's just an all-around good person that it's easy to look up to him. You know how some parents, it's like some parents will yell and scream and you're like, they, you don't want them to get mad or anything like that. And then there's some parents that are very quiet or they're like, and what you don't want to do is you don't want to disappoint them. That's kind of how it is with Mike Simons. You almost feel like you want to follow on his coattails and be like, oh, this is great. Wow. Oh, he did this. Oh, this is terrific. Okay. And it's a thing where at least I can say for me, probably we as a company with Allied, it's that aspect of we don't want to disappoint him is all, because it's he's truly inspiring to look up to. I help train our new hire trainings with our director of training also. So every single month, all of the new hires that we have for the month, I go through and discuss all of our leadership. And one of the things that I like to say about Mike, I like him as a leader because he knows the one thing that every true leader should know. And that is that he doesn't know everything. And that is extremely important to me. He listens to everybody in this company, and this company moves based on the feedback of its employees. And it doesn't matter if you're a vice president or a groundskeeper, you have a voice in this company. That hits to my heart to say that I know that when I wake up, what I'm doing is making a difference and they're going to notice that, and that my feedback drives where this company goes in the future. That's huge to me. So Mike has definitely been the biggest inspiration to me and mentor to me over my entire career, and still continues to be to this day. It's pretty amazing.
Jed, I want to switch gears a little bit. Maintenance centralization. There's a lot of chatter about maintenance centralization. Is this a real thing? Is just a trend, a buzzword? Or is somewhere in between?
In theory, I think it would be amazing if we could all have everything just centralized. I don't see a direct path immediately to get there in all aspects of maintenance. I do think that, honestly, Adrian, you're starting this right now with these type of podcasts and getting us going. You're starting a centralization of multifamily communication. I appreciate you, buddy, on this. So you're getting the ball rolling. I guess I can see it in some aspects of maintenance that the base of the training or what it is doesn't change. If you can follow me, it's maybe certain things like painting techniques. things that more appliance repair, things where it stays really the same as far as the base of things like that. Maybe there could be a centralization of items like that versus, but it's tough though, because then you go back to the things that there's so many individual items in maintenance that it's hard to say that one size fits all again with a centralization in any way. I like it in theory is my short answer. But I think, again, you're getting the ball rolling. So, hey, I'm open to any suggestions, even through your facilities leadership classes. I feel like we're going to be able to put our brains together and start thinking of ways to make this happen. So I'm not saying it can't happen. I just don't see an absolute finish line at the end for all aspects of it. But let's get the ball rolling on every avenue that we can think of as far as how can we make this easier? That's all what it's about, right? Let's make this easier and better for our maintenance teams. But I appreciate you starting this. You're starting it with communication, Adrian. You really are.
This is where everything starts, and I'm super excited about this initiative that you mentioned, our leadership group. So I hope that this becomes a game changer for the entire industry, right? We're going to record the conversations. We're going to make them public. We're going to, post them on YouTube so everybody has access to what was talked about right there. And we just want to drive change. And we are in a position, all of us, to drive that change. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely. I think it's really going to be successful. You're going to see it grow.
I'd like to know a little bit more, like what role do you believe technology plays right now? And maybe what role will it play in the future in streamlining maintenance, construction, operations? Do you see any room for the integration of these particular tools of technology in the maintenance and construction field? And you did mention, right, immediately, not right now, there's no way to completely centralize or streamline. We always ask this question because we like to know, where do you think technology can integrate into maintenance operations? We might be, coming up with a solution here today.
It cuts both ways, right? We talked about this earlier today, just with technology. It's either really great or it's really frustrating. and there's not much of a medium ground to that. The one thing that I will say, though, is like it or not, technology is here to stay. So we need to jump on board in every way that we can. It's not going to be a one platform works for everything. Sometimes I feel like with technology right now, it's moving so fast. Let's say appliances, for example, and how technology is kind of being integrated into those and when they're needing to be troubleshooted and all these computer programs now that can say, oh, we just found out that the stove in A302's upper right burner went out, and you can see it on your computer now before you're even assessing it and going there as a maintenance person. It is terrific that we're doing that, but I still think we will always need that base structure and base education in this industry. Sometimes, like with the appliances, they'll already put out the appliances that have this new technology, but there isn't necessarily a true training platform yet that is established in different ways to deal with that technology when it doesn't work. That's the frustrating part, I think. I like the idea of it, and it is going to be here to stay. Sometimes it's difficult when we're dealing with ownerships, especially, to justify the costs of going outside of, your company to try to do a technological training on something that might not even be the same way in next year. It might be done a completely different way next year. So how do you justify that to ownerships to spend that money to do it when you don't know? There's some aspects of the technology that'll be here to stay, and there's some aspects that will always change. So again, I think it's looking at the different avenues that you have. I think it's looking at all the different places that you have to learn about these trainings. And in some instances, whoever it is with your company that can do a Jed Talk type of thing, maybe that one-off to where, this might be done differently in a year. Maybe that training needs to be internal and not somebody who is brought in for thousands of dollars to teach you about this. The important aspect is learning which one is which technology is going to be here to stay. And then you can really establish that and dig in with making a true training program for that. And which technology aspects might be different in a year or two. So let's make sure we understand it so that we can move forward now. But we're not going to break the bank on that. One thing that I will share that I try to bring up to ownership groups that we have, it's tough to justify trainings sometimes to them, to say, why is this cost justified to me to have this maintenance tech, learn this new skill? I created a maintenance rate comparison sheet to not only go along how we were talking with safety aspects of this as far as showing our ownership groups that, hey, investing in safety trainings lowers our injuries. Here's the hard proof of that. It's also the same thing with justifying to our ownership groups how important our on-site maintenance teams are and how valued they are. I can have a list, so I'll go through on my maintenance rate comparison sheet and say, painting, here's the range of painting that you're going to pay when you have an on-site maintenance team from Allied Residential. Here's what you're going to pay if you're going to hire an outside contractor to come in and paint that unit for you today. You can go down every list of every single thing that a maintenance person does and verify and justify that that ownership group is saving money by having an on-site maintenance team versus calling a contractor for those repairs. And sometimes that's what you need to do. You have to put it right in their face and show that to them. Being able to do that truly justifies, going back and saying, you think you can't afford that $2 or $3 an hour raise for the maintenance tech? Because if he leaves, this is what you're paying. And then suddenly that raise or that training isn't so bad. It kind of has to be justified to those aspects of it. And it really seems to work well that way. I love that aspect of it too.
So Jed, we're only around for a short period of time in life, at work. So I want to ask you about legacy. How do you want to be remembered?
Oh man. I want to be remembered as the director of maintenance who answered his phone 24/7 for all of his maintenance teams, no matter what the reason that call was for. I want to be remembered as the person that every single person in Allied Residential or even in this industry that needed me could call me and depend on me to respond. And even if I don't have the answer, I don't always have the answers. I'm not, Mr. Know-it-all. I'm learning as I go, but I'll be right there beside you to try to figure out the answer together. I would like to leave a legacy of proving to the people that I have come into contact with in my career that leadership through positive motivation is always going to get you farther than leadership through negative intimidation. And I think right now, sometimes our maintenance teams have taken, a back seat to the office staff or to the importance of what they bring to the property. And I think they're the most important. Now more than ever, having a negative intimidation management style, people don't respond to that. I don't think they ever really responded to it as well as positive, but now more than ever, people are going to put up a wall to that and not want to deal with it. They have other places they can go. They don't need to put up with this or put up with that. Life is too short. We need a good work-life balance, right? And if you're treated like that at work, you're not going to want to be there the next day. So if anything, I can hope that the people that become a future Jed would see that avenue is really more productive, more effective, and will get you farther, not just in your career, in life than the other route. If I can leave that, I would be happy with leaving that as my legacy and be satisfied with that.
That was awesome. The inspiration piece. My closing question for you is I'd like to know if you have any favorite books or books you recommend, maybe something or an article that's made a difference, not only in your professional career, but maybe just in your life. When we wrap up, can you share that ACE one more time?
Yes, absolutely. Books, I'll be first to say I should read more. I don't read enough. I'm getting into audiobooks and things like that now. Actually, what the Washington State's division of the National Apartment Association is called WMFA. It's the Washington Multifamily Housing Association, and I'm a member of their supplier council. And we recently did a training. They brought in Nikki Kleppel, and she's with Dale Carnegie.com. And Dale Carnegie is an author that has a lot of different books out. So right now I have started How to Win Friends and Influence People. And after that one, I plan on still with Dale Carnegie, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. So a couple of those that I kind of got inspired just from that training, but I should read more. I don't have a lot of, real books that I'm sitting down and going, ooh, this is a great aspect of this. Again, maybe it's because I'm maintenance. We tend to be hands-on. I don't want to read a book about it. I want to touch it, show me how to work it. You know what I mean? I will say on a personal level, I love horror movies. So I'm a huge horror movie fan. So one of my favorite books of all time is The Shining from Stephen King. But that's not exactly helping me in my maintenance career. I should read more. I need to get back into it more. Change in style, I guess, and get away from technology and go back to basics. Sit down with a book and decompress. What my tagline is, what my motto has been with Allied Residential for my trainings and for leadership is what I call our ACE in the hole for maintenance success. And that ACE is A, appreciate, C, compensate, and E, educate. And really in multifamily, if you can have all three of those aspects from a property management perspective and be able to develop all three of those for your maintenance teams, you will be successful in this industry. I guarantee it.
Jed, what an amazing way to wrap up this great conversation. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Luisa, thank you for being an amazing co-host as always. I do want to thank our sponsors from Appwork for making this podcast possible. I'm Adrian Daniela, your host. This is Multifamily X Podcast, Masters of Maintenance, and I hope to see you back here soon for more episodes. Have an amazing day.
Thank you all.